Hi, hey, hello, how are ya? And welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about a bunch of standalone books and series that I do not plan on reading at this point in time. Now, obviously, this is all based off of other people's reviews and summaries that I've read, so it's quite possible that at some point in time, I could change my mind and decide to read some of these. Honorable mentions up top, there are a couple books and series that I previously decided, oh, I don't want to read that for sure, and then I've changed my mind. One of those being Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood. I did not want to read this when I first heard that Ali Hazelwood was going to be doing a YA book because I do not like YA romance. I can't deal with it. It's just not for me. But I love Ali Hazelwood so much that I decided I would give it a try. I had also heard a lot of people say that it wasn't super YA-y, so I felt like that would make it more palatable. I did actually end up reading it this month and I liked it, so it's always good to change your mind. However, sometimes you just hear about a book and you're like, that's not for me. Another one that I've changed my mind on, but I still haven't read yet, I told myself I was not going to be reading the Chestnut Spring series by Elsie Silver. I thought that it would just not be for me. I am a California girl, born and raised. I didn't feel like cowboy romance was gonna do anything for me, if you know what I mean. But I read Done and Dusted this month by Lila Sage, and that changed my mind. It opened a whole new world for me. Cowboy romance is where it's at. And I feel like people always talk about the Chestnut Spring series and Done and Dusted like in the same breath, just like cowboy romances. So I've decided that I do want to read the Chestnut Spring series this year, or at least start it. So that's another thing that I've changed my mind on. But that's not why we're here. We're here to talk about the things that I don't want to read. So I'm gonna say whatever the name of the book or the series is, and then give like a little bit of a context for why I don't really want to read it. Kicking things off with my old buddy, Riley Sager. I don't plan on reading any more of Riley Sager's books. Just straight up, I don't. I've read Survive the Night, Lock Every Door, and The House Across the Lake. I didn't like any of them. I felt that it was like a writing issue. I don't like the way that he writes. I don't like the way that he puts together a plot, and so I've just decided I don't feel that it would be the best use of my time, because obviously you only got one life to read all these books that you want to read. And I'm not doing it. I'm not reading any more of his books. I know that he came out with a new book last year and everyone was super stoked about it. A lot of people really liked it. I actually ended up getting it from the library and then returning it without reading it because I was just like, I'm not doing this. Like, I was dreading it when I got it and I was just like, that is immediately gonna put me in a slump. It's not for me. Also, I'm so sorry if you hear a horrible, like, distant grinding sound in the background. My neighbor is using, like, a table saw, so that's what that is. Yeah, so it's a no on Riley Sager for me, personally. Next, I'm pretty sure that I'm not gonna read the Dreamland Billionaire series. I know that a lot of people really like the Dreamland Billionaire series by Lauren Asher, but I don't really want to read about billionaires. Like, don't get me wrong, I love a good romance. I love romance. I feel like right now I'm in such a romance mood. But billionaires? That just doesn't, that sounds kind of like annoying to me. Like, I would be automatically annoyed with these characters because I'm just like, ew, you're rich. I can't deal with you. I don't know. I could be wrong. But right now that doesn't sound interesting to me. And then going off of that, I also don't plan on reading the Dirty Air series by Lauren Asher. I don't find like NASCAR, that type of stuff, interesting at all. I mean, again, I could be wrong because I'm not a sports person and I'm not a cowgirl, but I do love a cowboy romance and I love hockey romances so much. So I don't know. I could be wrong, but at this point in time, I don't plan on reading either of those series. Another author that I don't plan on reading any more of their books is Grady Hendricks. I read The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires last year, and I was not a fan of it. All of his other book titles, to me, seem like they would have a lot of the same issues that I had with that book, or worse. Like, I feel like they just sound kind of like kitschy or cliche type titles that don't really interest me. They don't really make me like excited to read any more of his books. So I think I'm gonna skip out on any more of his books unless I hear like an amazing standout review on another one, but I haven't. I feel like The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires is probably his most widely acclaimed book. And so if the rest of them aren't as good, then I definitely know I wouldn't like them. Okay, this one's a hot take. This is a hot take. So in 2022, I read Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. And I know that everyone loves that book so much. There are so many people that have like all the different editions of it, the special copies and everything, because it's just like one of their favorites. But I could not stand that book. And please don't crucify me for this, but I just didn't think it was good. I could not stand the characters and the choices that they were making. I thought that it was dumb and not believable whatsoever. So I was like, oh, ew, I just don't think that I like Lynn Painter. But then I heard that she has some adult romances, and I was like, oh hey, okay, maybe I would read those. And I actually own Mr. Wrong Number and The Love Wager on Kindle now. I haven't read either of them, but I plan to, because I think that my main issue was that it's YA. I just don't like YA romances, and so it might not be Lynn Painter at all. But for the sake of this video, I'm saying I do not plan on reading any more of Lynn Painter's YA books, because I don't plan on reading any more YA romances unless they're by Ali Hazelwood, because I trust her. Another one that got super popular last year, the One Dark Window duology, I don't plan on reading that because the summaries that I've heard sound a little bit silly to me. The magic system being based off of like these magical cards just sounds like funky to me. And I've noticed over time that I tend to be a little bit picky when it comes to magic systems. And if I feel like before I've even started a book, I'm like, ooh, that's kind of fishy, that sounds weird to me, I just feel like I'd probably go into it with like the wrong attitude and then just automatically not like it. And I've also heard that the romance is like not even a subplot, it's very minimal, and that kind of makes me sad because I love a good romantasy. So I don't plan on reading that duology either. I feel like these next two kind of go hand in hand. I don't plan on reading the Divergent series or the Hunger Games series. I have seen all of the movies for all of those books, with the exception of the newest Hunger Games movie, the like prequel movie. And I just got done reading all of the Harry Potter books after having seen all of those movies so many times. And while it was a fun experience, because there are things that you get in the books that have to be cut out of the movies for obvious reasons, it is a bit arduous because you know what's gonna happen, and so you don't have that like intense drive most of the time to keep reading, because it's not like you're reading to find out what happens next, you're reading just to finish the book. So at this point in time, I don't feel like it would be worth my time to go back and read those series, because I liked the movies, but I wouldn't say I love them as much as I love Harry Potter. So I don't think I'm gonna go back and read those when there are so many other things on my TBR. And to go along with that, I do not plan on reading Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, the most recent Harry Potter book that doesn't really go with the main series, but it like is a part of it somehow. Yeah, I don't plan on reading that. I've heard that it's not very good. A lot of people don't really like it. And I don't like J.K. Rowling as a person, and I don't want to support her by buying her newest book. So I will not be reading that. This one might sound kind of funny, but I don't plan on reading the 50 Shades of Grey series. Don't get me wrong, I love some good spice. But the fact that 50 Shades of Grey is just a fan fiction of Twilight, why? Why did it become a whole book series and then a whole series of movies? I don't know. I have seen the first movie. I did not like it. I felt like it was absolutely horrible. It felt like a fan fiction, like a very rudimentary fan fiction to me. And I absolutely cannot fathom spending my time reading that series of books. So I won't be reading that. I know that this one is gonna hurt some people because I know that it's really popular, but I don't plan on reading the Magnolia Park series. I'm sorry, I know. I watched Haley Pham's review on the first book and she pretty much absolutely hated it. I think she might have even DNF'd it. And for the reasons that she gave, I was like, oh, I don't think that I would like that. Like none of that sounds interesting. I know that people like love the romance and like the relationships are so great, but there are also so many other great romances that I have read or want to read. So I don't think that I'm gonna read the Magnolia Park series. Also, those are like pretty big books and it's a pretty big series, so I don't really feel like I want to spend my time on that because there are, again, so many other things on my TBR, especially for this year while I'm trying to finish my physical TBR. I'm not going to get into that. I don't even own any of them. So it's not for me. Again, rolling with the hot takes. I don't plan on reading any more Colleen Hoover books. So I've read 8 Colleen Hoover books. I've done my time. You can't say that I don't know what I'm talking about because I do. I have read her books, trust me. And I definitely think that some of them are better than the others. But on the whole, I don't feel like Colleen Hoover is one of my go-to authors by any means. I personally view her as like a jumping off point. You want to get back into reading, you want a romance, you want a page turner, you want dramatic plot lines and characters with weird names, go get yourself a Colleen Hoover book for sure. But I don't feel like that's where I'm at anymore. You know what I mean? So I can't foresee myself reading any more of her books at this point because it just doesn't feel totally worth my time, if I'm being honest. But no hate to people that like her because, you know what, reading is great. No matter what you're reading, you go. I'm proud of you for reading at all. So that's that. But for me, I don't think I'm gonna read any more Colleen Hoover books. And then lastly, I do not plan on reading Ninth House or Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. I have just heard that, at least for Ninth House, there's like literally every trigger warning there could ever be for that book, and I am a person that is admittedly very sensitive to a lot of triggers. There are just things that I'm just like, I don't want to read about that because I use books as escapism, and why would I want to read about a lot of the horrible, awful things that go on in the real world when I'm trying to escape in a book? You know what I mean? So I don't plan on reading those books, even though I know they are very popular. Just doesn't really seem like it's my vibe, so I'm not going to force myself to read them just because a lot of people talk about them. Those are all of the books and series that are coming to mind for me right now. That is certainly not all of them. There's definitely other things that I've like quasi-decided, I'm probably not gonna read that, but I just couldn't think of it, to be honest. I am definitely open to people's suggestions though. I would love it if you would go down in the comments and tell me why I should read some of these things. If you've read them, tell me why you like them. Change my mind. Go for it, because I think that it's just interesting how so many people can read the same book and have totally different reactions. Or you can read the summary of a book and think that you're gonna hate it, but then push through it and you're like, wow, that's one of my favorite books ever. So please, please comment down below. Tell me why I should read some of these books if you've read them. If you like this video, please give it a like. If you like me and my channel, you can subscribe. You can hit that little bell icon, get notifications every time that I post. All of my social media links are in my description. You can go follow me on Instagram and Goodreads and Spotify and Pinterest. Why not, you know? And I will see you next week. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!